cannot even tell you how many people have asked me to do this, because apparently this guy from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial reminds a lot of people of this guy. So here you go.
I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert witness.
Let's start with the easy question then.
That was pretty easy. Go ahead.
Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay, sorry about that. Having trouble getting into this side.
You need to just answer the question.
Okay. I'm not sure why we're arguing psychiatry, because I'm telling you what it is.
Dr. Siegel, you just need to answer the question.
Okay.
Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
Okay.
It does fit just a little too well, doesn't it?
Yeah. The new opposing counsel is my dad.
Your dad is Robert Zane?
Is it so hard to believe that my father's black?
Robert Zane is black?
You think this is a year-round tan?
I know who you are, but I can't believe that your father is the Robert Zane and you never said anything to me.
I don't like people here knowing.
Oh, I'm just people?
Or something to that effect, but I don't remember the exact words I used.
That's something
No,
to
they
that effect?
didn't.
Is it your testimony? Let me ask.
She gestured, I can't remember which one, to my face.
Bro, I fucking can't. I cannot. No, they did not. Fuck you. I could not.
Hello and welcome back to another to part 3 of this actually where we are going into the Leilani Simon trial. If you have missed the previous 2 parts, don't worry, they're all there for you to go and back and view. But I will try my best to catch you guys, to get you guys up to speed while the court is currently in recess. Now, what I'm gonna go into my notes for this one because I made a lot of notes based on the text messages as well as the video of Leilani Simon allegedly was about to commit suicide. So she had made she had in that video, what I wrote down was this was the same day that she was messaging Danny angry text messages. She mentioned Sky, which is the firstborn daughter, saying that hopefully she'll grow up to be a beautiful girl, etc., and she gets treated well. And then she goes on to mention Zane, who is the middleborn, the middle child. And Zane, according to the testimony from Marion Simon in day 2, is I believe Zane is 3 years old, so 1 year older than Quinton, and then mentions Danny, the BF, and his infidelity. She does not mention Quinton in this suicide message. I listened out to it. Maybe she said Q. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. Maybe she said Q, but she was really mad at Danny for his infidelity, etc. And all these messages span until October when and it came out that on October 3rd, that's when Danny was missing or reported missing. But before that, she made a Google search on the 1st of October. So 2 days before Danny was reported missing, she made a Google search saying, is it possible that no, that's not it. Sorry. Yeah, that's the one. On the 1st of October 2022, she made a Google tag saying, is it common for the mother to have resentment towards the child? I forgot what she said in the last part of those texts, so I just put a dot in, but she did say something about the father. If she has anger towards the father or something like that. I don't want to misquote, but that's essentially what she said. We covered that in part 2. You can go and watch that after this one is done, to get the full sense of what she said, because I was trying to take these notes as quickly as possible as a juror, as an unintentional juror in this case. But after that Google search, 2 days later, she reports Quinton as missing. I don't know. Now, I would like to see whether all 3 of these kids belong to Danny. If Quinton only belongs to Danny, I can see why she would separate Quinton from the rest, which just doesn't look good for her at all. The Google search did not look favorable towards her at all. The court is still in recess, but none the suicide video, the unaliving video, I should say, did not look good for her at all, and she comes across as very unhinged, because she was sending a lot of text messages saying that, begging for attention from Danny, basically saying that he would not give her sex, he would not, he doesn't want to, he doesn't even want to sleep with her, etc. She comes across as very unhinged, and there was a message. Now, her main defense for all of this is that she went to her friend Misty to get some gel for her dental work, which they did show the gel in day 2 of this. They did actually show the gel in the bathroom. However, how she got the gel is the question, because Misty, according to Marianne Lemons, who had revealed in another interview that Misty had said that she didn't even speak with her about this, and it's possible that she just purchased the gel. Now, on day 2, there was testimony corroborating the fact that she did say, "Oh yeah, I went up there to get gel." Now, whether she got up there and got the gel from the store is another story, or whether she got it from Misty, we don't know. It is up for the defense to try and clean this up. The court is back in session, so I'll go straight to there. The court is back in session, so here we go. I hope you guys are all warmed up. I hope you guys enjoyed that little recap. And yeah, let's continue.
All right, Ms. Simon, please have a seat with your attorneys. We are back on the record in SPCR 22-03364J6. Counsel for the defense is present and seated with her. Counsel for the state is present as well, and Detective Lemons is back on the stand. Anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please bring in the jury. Okay. Everybody can have a seat until the jurors are ready.
Myron Lemons is still on the stand, so I can't wait to see what comes out of this one.
Jury of 9 are in? Hey. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Please have a seat. I hope you enjoyed lunch. I hope you enjoyed the break. Thank you. And I have to ask you, were you able to follow the court's instructions?
Hell yeah.
And did anyone do any research?
Nope.
Did anyone engage in any discussion with anyone?
No.
All right. And were you exposed to any media or social media?
No.
All right, thank you. Everyone has indicated they have not. And so with that, Mr. Dean, let's begin.
In those October 5th and October 8th interviews, where was it that the defendant was claiming she had met her drug dealer, Red, on the night of October 4th?
Flacco's Tacos off of Highway 204.
What is Flacco's Tacos?
I believe it's a Mexican restaurant.
Did the investigative team determine that that was not true?
Yes.
Can you tell us how that determination was made?
When we obtained Leilani's cell phone records directly from Verizon and from her cell phone, her GPS coordinates did not show her at Flacco's Tacos.
Oh my
Where did they
God.
show her?
On Arkwright Lane.
Can you describe Arkwright Lane for us, please?
So from where the Flacco's Tacos is at Highway 204 and I-95 area, Arkwright Lane is about a quarter mile down the road where Highway 204 turns into Fort Argyle.
Now, were you able to pinpoint a specific address on Arkwright Lane?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And did you do any follow-up research on that address?
Yes, I did.
To determine what individuals might be associated with it?
Yes.
Now, I don't know that we've talked about the Cash App in the defendant's phone. Did you review her phone and see a Cash App payment that was made at the time of that trip?
Yes.
And to whom was that Cash App payment made?
The name on the transaction was Timothy Weston.
Did you uncover any information about Timothy Weston and any tie to that location on Arkwright Lane that her phone was sitting at that night?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that was?
So I conducted a follow-up on Arkwright Lane. I spoke with Timothy Weston, who resided or was at 14 Arkwright Lane.
Did you see any references in her phone to a Tim? Do you remember seeing
referencing Tim, yes.
Can you tell us what those references, like how they referred to him?
Tim 204.
Okay.
They were usually used in conjunction with each other.
And were these in messages between the defendant and Daniel Youngkin talking about going to see Tim 204?
Yes.
Okay. Were there also messages on her phone indicating some contact with a fellow that she had saved as Craig?
Yes.
Okay. And did you find any connection between Craig and that residence on Arkwright Lane?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
So Craig is Craig Weston, and he is Timothy Weston's cousin.
Okay. Now, did you look at the criminal history of both of those individuals?
I did.
And can you tell us what, if anything, their criminal histories contained in the way of drug arrests?
They've both been arrested for narcotic sales.
Okay. So they're drug dealers?
Yes.
Okay. Tim and Craig Weston of Arkwright Lane.
Yes,
Now, you said you went and talked to them, right?
I did.
Did you wear a badge?
I did.
Did you go with an FBI agent?
I did.
Did you identify yourselves as police?
Yes, we did.
And did you ask them whether they had seen the defendant that night?
Yes.
Were these two drug dealers willing to tell you that they had seen the defendant on the night of October 4th or not?
No, they weren't.
Thank you. Let me just ask you real quickly. We've talked about how the defendant came back in on the 8th for an interview with Bridget Brock at the FBI office.
Yes.
Did Danny Youngkin come in that day as well for a follow-up interview?
Yes, he did.
And did Paul Simon come in that day also?
I'm not sure if it was that day. It may have been a later day. His second interview was conducted.
Okay, he did, in any case, come in for a follow-up interview?
Yes, he did.
How would you rate Paul's level of cooperation during this investigation?
He was very cooperative.
And how would you rate Danny's level of cooperation during this investigation?
He also was very cooperative.
Anything in particular that he did that causes you to say that?
Both of them were in constant contact with us. Daniel specifically wanted to do anything that we asked him to find Quinton.
Did he agree to any monitoring of his contact with the defendant?
Yes.
And can you tell us about those things?
Yeah, so there was two things that we asked Daniel to do, one of which was a monitoring of his cell phone. Specifically, we wanted to monitor his cell phone in a live manner anytime he communicated with the defendant, which means if Daniel's getting a phone call, we're hearing it. And that applied to all of his phone calls, not just the ones with Leilani.
So he agreed to a wiretap?
Yes.
Any other monitoring he agreed to?
Yes, he also agreed to a hotel monitoring where we set up recording devices in a hotel room that he and Leilani shared so we could listen to their conversations while Leilani thought nobody was around.
How long did the phone monitoring last for, roughly?
I think it lasted 3 months.
And when was the hotel recording operation conducted?
It was between October 7th and 9th.
So it was it in effect then on the day of the October 8th interview that we just watched?
Yes.
They were recorded that evening in a hotel?
Yes, they were.
Just a couple more housekeeping questions so that I don't forget. 535 Buckhalter Road, what county is that in?
It's in Chatham County.
And the Azalea Mobile Home Plaza, what county is that in?
Chatham County.
Now the route between 535 Buckhalter and Azalea Mobile Home Plaza, does it pass through any counties other than Chatham?
No, it doesn't.
And is the landfill on Little Neck Road in Chatham County as well?
Yes, it is.
The Chatham County Police Department has jurisdiction over what geographical areas in Chatham County?
Do you mean like the boundaries?
Well, let me ask you this. The Chatham County Police Department, is it responsible for policing unincorporated Chatham
Yes.
County? And is 535 Buckhalter Road in unincorporated Chatham County?
Yes, it is.
So if it happens there, it's y'all's responsibility.
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dean.
All right, let's see how they clean it up.
Reserve questioning. I think we're going to take a witness out of order.
We are. And so Detective Lemons, I'm going to ask you to step down.
Okay, so they're reserving the question, meaning that they're gonna question them later. So no cross-exam for today. Well, for now anyway.
And Mr. Hilliard, you reserve cross-examination at this time, but you will cross-examine later. Okay.
Right.
And there is a witness, Mr. Dean, that you wish to call at this time.
Yes, Your Honor. May I first bring some exhibits up to the clerk and make sure that everything's in order?
Yes.
case, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, step this way, please.
All right, good afternoon. Mr. Dean.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spelling your first and last name?
Yes, my name is Angie Christensen. Angie is spelled A-N-G-I. Christensen is C-H-R-I-S-T-E-N-S-E-N.
And where do you work now?
I work at the FBI laboratory in Quantico, Virginia.
And what is your position there?
I work there as a forensic anthropologist.
And what is a forensic anthropologist?
A forensic anthropologist is a scientist who studies the human skeleton in forensic contexts.
How long have you been a forensic anthropologist?
I've been with the FBI laboratory since 2004, so just about 20 years.
Did you work as a forensic anthropologist in any other capacity before joining the FBI lab?
I assisted with a couple of cases as a graduate student.
Can you tell us about your education, training, and experience that puts you in a position to serve as a forensic anthropologist with the FBI lab?
I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a PhD, all in the area of anthropology. I'm also board certified by the American Board of Forensic Anthropology and the Forensic Anthropology Society of Europe.
When you conduct forensic anthropology work in a case, how do you first get involved in the case? How does it come to you?
To the FBI laboratory?
Yeah.
The case flow process is that all evidence is first received by our evidence management unit. And they read the incoming documentation and inspect the packaging and make sure everything is in place and in order. And then they prepare that evidence for delivery and examination by the scientists.
Now, before that ever happens, do the agents in the field have to send you a request to do some work in the first place?
Whoever is requesting the examination will send a letter documenting what that request is and that they're requesting lab examinations.
And does that letter bear the FBI's case number?
Yes, if it's an FBI case, then it will, yes.
And does the lab then assign its own case number?
Yes, in addition to the FBI case file number, the laboratory will assign an FBI laboratory number.
And did you conduct some forensic anthropology work in connection with the Quinton Simon case arising out of Savannah?
Yes, I did.
What was the FBI case number for that case?
Your Honor, may I refer to a copy of my report? The FBI case number for that case is AT, which stands for our Atlanta field office, 3665337.
And what was the lab number assigned for the work that you did?
The laboratory number assigned was 2022-02600.
And Your Honor, before I forget, I would offer Dr. Christensen as an expert in forensic anthropology.
All right, thank you.
Sometime in late November, mid to late November, did you first get a request from some agents in Savannah to look at some photographs?
Yes, the first request I received was on October 28, 2022.
And how many photographs did you receive at that time?
That day I received 6 images as well as a bone that was depicted in those images.
Okay. And did you take a look at those photographs, and what were they asking you to tell them about?
The photographs depicted a bone that they wanted me to determine whether it was human or not in origin.
And what day was that? Again, did you get that?
The communication was dated October 28 of 2022, and my report is dated October 31 of 2022.
And did you look at that photograph and come to a tentative opinion about whether that bone was human?
Yes, my preliminary conclusion was that bone was non-human in origin.
Did they send that bone up to you in any case?
Yes.
And did you look at it in real life?
Yes, I examined the photos, they submitted the actual bone, and I then directly examined the bone.
Okay. And what was your conclusion at that time?
That the bone was non-human in origin.
And again, that was in late October?
Yes.
Okay. Did you later, sometime in mid to late November, get substantially more photographs of some different remains.
Yes, there were a number of photos submitted in a communication dated November 18.
And what, how many photographs was that?
These are represented in the laboratory's item numbers 15 through 26, so I believe that's 12 photographs.
Okay. And what were they asking you to tell them about these photographs?
Once again, to determine if I could, based on the photographs, whether the bones depicted were human or non-human in origin.
And what did you opine based on the photographs?
In that case, I did conclude that the images depicted bones that were consistent with human origin.
Now, shortly thereafter, did you receive a box of suspected human remains from the agents in Savannah?
Yes, the laboratory did receive, subsequent to that, physical submissions of some of the material depicted in those photographs.
And what specifically did the lab receive? What did it look like when it got to you?
When it got to me, so this is different than when it was received by the lab. It would have initially been received by the evidence management unit, who then inspected and then sent it to me. I received, in this case, if I might refer to my notes just to refresh my memory, one box containing 4 additional paper bags.
And did you examine the contents of those paper bags?
Yes, I did.
And did you photograph the contents of each of those paper bags?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what Marcus states in Exhibit 78.
This is just tragic. Completely tragic. And this kid.
Do you recognize those images?
Yes.
And what are those images?
These are photographs that I took of the contents of those 4 bags as I received them.
And what was the date of those photographs?
Those photographs are dated November 21 of 2022.
Okay. And is the items in those photographs, is that what the Savannah agents had sent you pictures of a couple days before?
It includes what was depicted in those images, but there's also additional material depicted here.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to publish the exhibit by displaying it on the monitor. Now, were these the contents of these bags, or did these bags receive lab individual numbers at the lab?
Yes, they were assigned item numbers by the evidence management unit.
Now, what were the numbers assigned to each of these bags?
Items 27, 28, 29, and 30.
Does this first image here depict the contents of the bag numbered item 27?
Yes.
And what are those numbers we see in the bottom right-hand corner?
In the bottom right, you see the FBI laboratory number, which is 2022-02600. It then says item 27, dated 11/21/22, and to the side, my initials.
Can you tell us what it is that we're looking at here?
This is the photo I took documenting the material as I received it. Upon later examination, I determined this piece of tissue to not contain any skeletal material.
Did you do any further examination of this particular item?
No, because as a forensic anthropologist, I don't examine any of the soft tissues, only the skeleton. So because there was no skeletal material present, I did not conduct any further examinations on this item.
The next slide, slide 2, this is item 28.
Yes.
All right, so this is the contents of another one of the bags?
Yes.
Can you describe to us what we're looking at here? What was in that bag?
Again, this is a photograph that I took just documenting the material as I received it. On further examination, I sub-itemized these numbers and examined the bones individually.
So you did
I don't know about you, but
further analysis of the contents of this bag?
Yes.
I don't know about you, but if I didn't kill my child, I'll be
Slide
kind of
3
in horror right now.
Is item 29, correct?
That's correct.
And can you describe to us the contents of item 29?
Again, this is a depiction of the material as I received it prior to doing my additional examinations.
Slide 4, not a great picture, but is this item 30?
Yes.
All right, so the fourth bag.
Yes.
Okay. What was in that bag?
This is a combination of soft tissue and skeletal material as it was received by me.
What did it appear to you to be anatomically?
It appears to be a foot, including some of the soft tissue and the bones within.
Once you had received these items and taken them out of the bag and photographed them, what did you do with the items that you did further examination? What was the first step?
As you can see in the images, there's soft tissue and other debris that's adhering to the bones, and my examination is just on the skeletal material. So in order to isolate the bones as well as to clean the surfaces so that I could examine them, I removed any soft tissue and cleaned the bones of any additional debris.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about the types of conclusions that you can arrive at as a forensic anthropologist, okay? Are you able to look at a set of bones and determine whether they appear to be of human origin or not?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
It's based on my education and training and experience, in much the same way that you all can probably tell the difference between human and non-human animals. The same is true for their internal structures and bones. So by examining and studying enough human and non-human bones, I can tell the difference between them.
And of the bones you looked at across these 4 items, did you determine that most of them were of human origin?
There were some bones that were of non-human origin and some bones for which I could not determine whether the origin was human or non-human in origin, but most of them were human bones.
And were you able to identify anatomically which bone in the human body you were looking at for the bones of human origin?
Yes.
And did these include a left and right femur?
If I might refer to my report, these are listed by item number and bone name in my report. But yes, there was a left and right femur.
A left and right tibia?
Yes.
Tibia being one of the long bones of the lower leg?
It's the shin bone, yes.
A fibula?
Yes.
That being the other bone of the lower leg?
Yes, it's to the side of your shin bone. It makes up the side of your ankle at the bottom.
Did these bones include part of a right humerus?
Yes.
What is the humerus?
The humerus is the upper arm bone.
And did they include part of a right ulna?
Yes.
What is the ulna?
An ulna is a bone of your forearm on the thumb side.
Did they include a left calcaneus?
Yes.
What is the calcaneus?
Heel bone.
And did they include 5 left ribs?
Yes.
Did they also include a frontal bone?
Yes.
What is the frontal bone?
A frontal bone is the cranial bone right here. It makes up your forehead.
Now, is that visible in slide 3 depicting item 29?
Yes.
Is it the bone in the top right?
Yes.
Did the bones that you identified as of human origin include a right temporal bone?
Yes.
Where is that on the human body?
The temporal bone is near the ear.
And is that visible in item 29 here, or is it in one of the other items?
It may be. It's difficult for me to tell from this photograph because of the tissue and debris on the bones in the photograph.
Did the bones that you identified as being of human origin include a left parietal bone?
Yes.
What is a parietal bone?
The parietal bones make up the 2 sides of the cranium.
And did they include various bones from the left foot?
Yes.
When you are looking at bones that you've determined are of human origin, are you able to tell whether they are consistent with being from a human of a particular age range?
Yes, especially for children, looking at the stages of growth and development and taking measurements of the bones, it's possible to tell approximately how old somebody was by looking at their skeleton.
And of the bones that you identified as being of human origin in these 4 items, 27 to 29, did they all appear to be from a human being in the same age range?
Yes, they were all consistent with being from a child aged 1 to 2 years.
And when you're looking at a set of bones that you've identified as being of human origin, are you able to render an opinion as to whether they're all from the same individual, like the same person?
Yes, it's possible to estimate the number of individuals represented. So just based on an inventory of the skeletal material present, if, for example, there were 2 left femurs, I would be able to conclude that there were at least 2 individuals present. In this case, for example, there were no bones that were duplicated that I wouldn't expect to be duplicated in a human skeleton.
So your opinion as to the human bones that you received from the agents in Savannah, that they're, to sum it up, that many of them were of human origin?
Yes.
Those of them were of human origin were from a child 1 to 2 years of age?
Correct.
And a single child?
Correct, yes.
What determinations, let me ask you this, did you observe trauma on any of these bones?
Yes.
And what, if anything, are you able to tell us about when the trauma, well, let's start with not this case, but just a given case. Can you look at a human bone that has signs of trauma, and can you sometimes tell when the trauma occurred relative to death?
Yes. So if there are, trauma refers to any alteration that might happen to a bone. And we can tell if that happened before death, which we call antemortem, if the bone displays any signs of healing. So as soon as you break a bone, your body immediately starts the healing process. So if we see any signs of healing on that bone, we know that it happened before the person died. Perimortem means that the trauma occurred around the time of death. And this is a term that's used a bit differently by medical examiners and pathologists than by anthropologists. So perimortem being around the time of death, typically a pathologist is talking about a very narrow range of time. Anthropologically speaking, because we're only looking at the bones and we're not examining any of the other tissues, all we can tell is what sort of state that bone was in when it was fractured. So in life, the bone has water and collagen, and it's actually a rather flexible material, and it has some give before it breaks. Imagine, for example, you have a fresh green stick, and you try to break it. That stick has a good bit of bend before it will actually break. And this differs from a dry stick, where if you pick it up and try to bend it, it just snaps. The same thing kind of happens to bone as it dries. So bone that is fractured in a post-mortem condition, so much after the death event when the bone has become dry, it fractures differently than a bone that is fractured in that fresh state. That fresh state we call biomechanically fresh. But that biomechanically fresh state can persist for a long time after death, depending on the conditions of where the body is deposited. So the fractures in a bone will look the same to me if they happen right at the time of death or potentially sometime after death, as long as the bone is still in that biomechanically fresh state.
When you use it, do you ever use the term death event?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That just refers to when that person died, the event of dying.
Is it fair to say that in this case you cannot attribute any of the trauma to the bones here to the death event?
That's correct.
Is it fair to say that you essentially cannot tell whether any of the trauma to the bones was incurred before this child died versus after?
I can tell that the fractures didn't occur before the time of death because there's no signs of that active healing. So the fractures either occurred around the time of death or after.
One moment, please. These images that we've been looking at, these are the pictures that you took in your lab?
I took these photos, yes.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the evidence that the lab received from Savannah in late November?
As I received it, yes.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 78.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, State's Exhibit 78 is admitted without objection.
One moment, please. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Judge.
Make this swift. Make it swift.
Dr. Christian, good afternoon. My name is Martin. How are you?
Good afternoon. Very well, thank you.
I just want to follow up with some questions, if you don't mind. Okay? You said I'm going to skip the first items from October 31st because I just don't think they're relevant. Okay? I'm going to skip straight to the items from November 18th, if that's okay. You said you received 4 items in, I think it's 1 box, 4 bags on the inside of the box, correct? Correct. Items 27, 28, 29, and 30. You didn't do any analysis on item 27, correct?
Well, I did an initial assessment, and once I determined that there was no skeletal material present, I did not conduct any additional examinations.
So let me rephrase that. You looked at it, realized it didn't have skeletal material, and didn't do anything further than the initial
Yes,
assessment.
that's correct. Yes.
Item 28, you said they were bones, and most were human bones. I found that, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I found that a little odd. So what bones did you find in item 28?
So I ended up sub-itemizing because I wanted to account for and be able to accurately describe each of the bones in those depictions. Although the evidence management unit initially called that item 28, I broke it down in my report. Item 28-1, 28-2, 28-3, representing each of the bones. And in this case, items 28-17 to 28-23 were bones of non-human origin, but 28-1 through 28-16 were bones of human origin.
And just to be 1 through 16 and item 28, you said were of human origin, and items 27 through 23 of items 28 were not.
Items 28-1 through 28-16 were human origin. 28-17 to 28-23 were non-human.
And I was just curious, did you ever determine, is that the only determination you made, it was just non-human, or did you ever identify it as being anything else?
No, we do not report what species it is beyond non-human in origin.
Just want to follow up and check on that. Now, you said with the, I guess it's the item 29, which was the skull fragments, correct?
That consisted of some of the skull fragments, yes.
You said that was of human origin.
Yes, items 29-1 to 29-3 were human in origin.
And you, on item 30, you said there was some soft tissue and some skeletal material, correct?
Yes, they all had some soft tissue and other debris with the skeletal material.
And with regards to item 30, I assume you didn't do anything with the soft material, but you did identify the skeletal material as human?
I did remove and examine the skeletal material, yes.
And did you find that item 30 was human remains as well?
Yes, these were portions of a left foot.
And you kind of glossed over it, but I didn't really understand. You said that bones are, I guess, a little bit more flexible in life.
That's correct.
Than in death, correct?
Then once they've dried, yes.
So you didn't find, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, just trying to make sure I understand it. You said that you cannot attribute any of the trauma to the bones to the death event, correct?
I can't say when they occurred with respect to the death event, no.
And with regard to these bones and this testing, was that all of the involvement and all you were asked to do with these items?
Yes.
So, you did identify the items you discussed as human material, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you couldn't attribute any of the trauma to the bones to the death of it, correct?
Correct.
And that's all the conclusions you were asking me.
Yeah, in addition to the age estimate of a child aged 1 to 2 years. Yes.
That's all the questions I got, Judge.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
No redirect.
May this witness be excused?
Yes.
Well, that was interesting.
You are excused.
So, because they were at the landfill, there were some bones that were probably of pets or just strays or something that was found that she had to separate. That's the main thing that came out of
I'm going
this.
to have the jurors return to the deliberation room at this point. We're at a point where we're deciding going forward or stopping for today. It's a little early, but this makes the most sense, I think. But just to firm that up with counsel, I'm going to ask you to step to the deliberation room.
Jurors are exiting.
Early today. If you have been, let me know how you're feeling in the chat. If you have been with us for all this time, let me know how you're feeling. It is so far with the information presented, there is no way that this child wasn't assaulted, because there were trauma found on the bones, and she explained well how this may have occurred. And by she, I mean Andrew Christensen, who was the forensic anthropologist. The cross-exam only just got into the weeds of it all. Well, separate the weeds from the tares, I would say.
All clear, Judge.
Thank you. All right. So I think this is the stopping point that we anticipated.
I think so too, Judge. If I can have I don't know, I mean, I'd like a few minutes to talk to Mr. Purse and kind of decide which way we're going to jump at this point. You have 2 days of Lemon's testimony to talk about, so see whether we're kind of get a little bit of a break to talk to Mr. Purse.
Sure. All right. Let's take a break. Let's break until, I think it's, I can't read that clock on here.
3:20.
3:20. Tell me what that clock says.
3:19 actually.
It's got, with the light, there's a glare to it.
Okay. All right. I'll look at my watch. Okay. Let's just step back in at 3:30.
That's fine. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank you. We're in recess.
Okay, court is in recess. Before I go for my own recess and shut the stream down, and we're gonna go for a part 4 because they are coming back, but I think that one is just for housekeeping. It is quite obvious, especially with the, I'm gonna go through my notes quickly before I go off. So now we have developments that she was buying weed, drugs, I would say, from Craig Weston, and who is the son of, she was buying it from the Westons. Now what she got is what I don't know. I don't know if she got weed. I don't know if she got Percocet from them. I don't know if the Percocet was even prescribed. I'm not too sure. But it was brought out during Marion Lemon's direct exam that she was buying narcotics, she was buying drugs rather than buying tacos, as she had written in a witness statement. So she is basically as effectively lied, and they found this out through GPS data that showed that she wasn't actually at the taco house, but rather at the at Arkwright Lane buying weed. So that's the only, all of a sudden I've got a blackout on the other locations, but this is what she was at Arkwright Lane off Fort Agar Road. So yeah, that's where she was buying the drugs allegedly. I don't know, but the FBI did try to get the Westons to like try and let her know, or let them know whether she did actually buy drugs from them. They were not forthcoming with the information. That's all that I had, and on top of that, we have Angie's testimony, the anthropologist who took the pictures on the 21st of November 2022, and these were the remains of the body, the remains of the skeleton that was found at the landfill. As you can see, from the pictures, they were very, very dirty. So, well, because that's how they were recovered, and she inspected all of it and found that there was trauma to the tissue, because she knows that the body goes into a healing process, from what I was able to note down. Now, what do I think so far? Well, I have no idea what to think, because when it comes to this woman, it's very hard to be consistent, because she has given story after story, and Marion Lemon has noted a bit of inconsistencies. Like I said before, we're gonna go. Like I said before, Marion Lemon I said that Misty did not corroborate her version of events, where she said that she was getting the tooth gel or the oral gel, whatever, for the wisdom tooth that she was getting from Misty. Misty did not corroborate that. Now, I don't know if that's an FBI thing, that they were trying to interrogate her to get more truth from her. So they lied. So maybe they lied. I don't know. I don't know if this is the truth, but according to Marion Lemon, this was not adding up. And also the boyfriend's Danny, his version of events were also not adding up to what Leilani had said. So this trial has taken an interesting turn, and we'll be back after the court recess to continue on with the stream. Thank you everyone that has been tuned in so far. I'm going to end it here. If you're watching on replay, hi. But I'm going to end it here, not for the day, but just for the moment, until they return back from recess. I'll see you soon.